Thanks for taking time to join us today. My name is Keith Harris. I'm your host for today's webinar from Milestone Systems. Today we're introducing Briefcam Video Analytics Platform. There's more that everyone wants to know as they're learning about video surveillance and its advanced capabilities. There are a few items we want to make sure we discuss with you today. We want to provide you with some insights during our time together. We're going to look at Briefcam Video Analytics software and its three key modules: review, respond, and research. At its core, the goal of video analytics is to bring actionable intelligence to the surface for organizations using the technology. Today, we'll focus on security and safety operations. This starts with understanding how Briefcam works. We'll cover product integration, network architectures, and the variables you may experience. It's important that we understand how to use the solutions that we have available, so we'll cover a few key use cases for video analytics. And finally, we'll provide a brief product demonstration showing you how Briefcam might bring value to your organization. We have two great speakers lined up for you today. Ann Barnia leads Milestone's data analytics and strategic innovation projects for Briefcam. She brings a strong background in product management and marketing, with a focus on solving complex customer problems through data. Seva Leokumovic has been with Briefcam for 7 years now, and is now a part of Milestone. He helps customers get real value from their video analytics. With over 15 years of experience in physical security, Seva is used to working with integrators and manufacturers, and he has a strong insight into the challenges of the market. Thank you both for joining us today for the conversation.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us.
And let's start out with a quick introduction to video analytics for anybody who's on the webinar that might not know. Why are they important?
Thank you for the question, Keith. So definitely, I think the biggest challenge security and safety teams face is just the sheer amount of volume of video that they have. Usually, they have hundreds or thousands of cameras recording videos 24/7. That's a lot of footage to go through. If you had an incident 1 week, 2 weeks ago, you have sometimes hundreds and thousands of hours of video you need to sift through. And that's very hard unless you have good contextual cues of what you're looking for. If you only have what camera or cameras you are relevant and the time, it usually is not enough. It's going to take you hours and hours to go through all these videos. And that's very tough on investigators to complete the investigations in time. And then you have the real-time teams, right? And they, if they don't have a system like a video analytics systems in place, they usually have very basic alerts that they're coming in. And basic alerts, I mean, line crossing, of movement detection. That might work if you have, 10, 20 cameras. But if you have more than that, that's very, very hard to handle. It means that your team is bombarded with tens of alerts, that most of them, or at least many of them, are not very relevant for them. And what happens after a while is what we call vigilant decrement or false alerts fatigue, that the team is just does not keep the alertness they need to review each of these alerts because most of them are not relevant for them. And that makes it very hard for this team to really work and perform. And what video analytic does is enable them to kind of bridge the gap. So not only have passive video footage to go through, but because video analytics can really extract all the object and all the information from the video, now this team can be much more proactive. They can search what they're looking for. They can get very relevant alerts to what they need. And they can actually query the data to really understand what patterns they are in the data. So it makes them much more proactive in what they're looking for using video analytics.
And they can make better decisions as a result, correct?
Correct. Once you have the right data and you are proactive in getting what you specifically need, you're able to get to make much better data-driven decisions and do it much more quickly. And the way they can do it is because video analytics enable them to search by many more parameters. They can actually search for what they're looking for. If they're looking for a man with a hat and a backpack, then this is what they're searching. They don't need to go just through the video and look it up themselves. They could just search it up, make it much more easier for them to find that. And they can set up alerts that allow them to get very specific, relevant alerts in real time that don't need to go through non-relevant alerts that is not relevant to what they're looking for. They can be very specific and proactive in what they're searching. If they can be proactive in setting up alerts that are very, very specific to what they're looking for, that would make their work much more effective in really reacting in real time to situations in their organization.
And where do we find the value in video analytics?
So really the top three use cases for video analytics are all around security and safety. So there's really so much use cases for video analytics. And indeed, like almost 80% of companies say video analytics is critical for their security. And 86%, which is really high number, see the ROI of video analytics within 1 year. And we have so many customers that uh, really use video analytics day in and day out to solve um, many investigations, to help them with situational awareness, and really understand what's happening in their businesses using video analytics.
Right. So Briefcam has been around for quite a while, and the company recently merged with Milestone Systems. Um, but my question here is making sure that we help our audience understand how Briefcam works. It's been very impressive when you see it in action, right?
Correct. Yes. That is very impressive. So video analytics in general, the way it works is first it processes the video, right? So you have the video. Um, First thing we do is understand what's in the background, things that do not change much, roads, buildings, and what are the objects that usually the changing things in this scene. And once for each of these objects identified in this scene, we're going to start tracking this object. So if you click, you can see it on the right side. So here, this guy riding his bicycle, we're going to track him across the scene. And once we identify this object and track it, the next thing we're going to do is apply networks of classifications to really understand what is this object. So we can identify the fact that this is a man and riding a bicycle and is wearing yellow and is having a backpack and so on and so forth. And we get all this data and save it in the database. And that's what will allow us further down the road to actually search for men or bicycle or people wearing yellow and provide investigators exactly what they're looking for in the video.
Or even the speed limit I see there, right?
Yes,
The
speed,
speed of the object.
direction, absolutely. For sure. So the way it works, the way the video flows through the network is the video from the cameras goes into the PMS, and then it moves to Briefcam, either in real time or on demand, according to what the researcher or the investigators are looking for. Once the Briefcam processes these videos, it extracts all the objects like we discussed before and put them into a database with all the metadata that we shown. Um, Once we have this database with all the metadata, now we can provide value to our users. So we can allow them to use filters for their investigations. They can use, and you can see video synopsis, and Seva is going to show us how effective that is to really understand and unpack what happened in hours of video in just minutes. So that would be video synopsis and the investigation tools that we have. They can set up rules to get better situational awareness and have real-time alerts that are very, very specific to what they need. And they're going to have customized dashboards that they can build that are specific for their business and that will allow them to really understand the trends and patterns in their business. And these use cases, this is what maps into the Briefcam modules. And Sarah will show you the modules themselves in a second. But there's a Briefcam review that's going to help you with investigations and really to find your object of interest very fast. You have Briefcam Respond that is going to help you to respond better to real-time events using these rules and alerts that are very, very customized. And lastly, there's Briefcam Research that is going to show you the trends and patterns in your data using these customized dashboards. Okay, so we talked a bit about how Briefcam is built. Let's see how Briefcam is integrated into the networks. Seva, do you want to talk us through it?
Sure. Yeah, Briefcam sits just right on the same network that the VMS, the cameras, the recorders, all of that is communicating. And we're basically just another client. So we talk to the VMS using whatever SDK or API they provide, and we request the recorded footage, the RTSP camera stream, really whatever the user that's doing the investigation is asking for. And like you can see on the right, we're camera agnostic, so we don't really care about the camera as long as it comes into the VMS and we can fetch the recorded video or the stream. And we're integrated with 20 plus different VMS providers out there, and it can be installed really anywhere you want. So most of our customers install it on premise because it's secure data, secure footage. They don't really want it going elsewhere, but it's just as easy to deploy in the cloud as well. So as long as you meet the hardware requirements, which we require GPUs to process, then it doesn't really matter where it's installed, but it's very easy and straightforward to get going and working. And in terms of the different VMS providers, Milestone is one of the strongest integrations, but we have 20 plus different integrations out there with varying levels of integration levels.
So we're not only camera agnostic, we're also software agnostic, video management software agnostic.
Exactly. So we're integrated with the top VMSs out there that we've seen that our customers have.
So there's a tight integration with Milestone X Protect, but we see also integrations with our competitors as well, and that we're okay with that because we're an open platform.
Yeah, we even have customers that have 2, 3, 4 different VMSs all installed in one location, and that's no issue whatsoever. So one Briefcam system can be integrated to multiple VMSs as well.
Very good. And we have some good use cases that you're going to start out and show for us. Doesn't work just for law enforcement or security applications. There's many different types of end users or end customers that are um, using Briefcam to solve lots of different problems, right?
Yeah, correct. So basically, any customer that has a camera and a VMS, we can help them out in any number of ways. So, depending on the vertical, depending on their use cases, it's the same Briefcam platform. It's a pretty big umbrella, but we can help kind of anyone and everyone solve whatever they're looking for. So, some certain examples. For site security, we can do loitering at banks. You can do loitering anywhere. You can do, for example, let's say an airport and vehicles that are loitering create a lot of chaos and traffic. You can set up a review case, we can set up an alert, you can set up a dashboard. So there's a lot of different ways to solve kind of the same use case for different verticals. So loitering, dwelling, also for theft reduction. So I can show you, for example, later on in the demo, how you can use a visual layer to see when an object has moved, who moved it, when, where they went, things like that. But there's infinite number of different use cases. You could also do it for staff safety to make sure that people are complying with the different rules and regulations, make sure that their people are going where they're supposed to and where they're not supposed to go. You can also set up an alert for that for different incidents and watch lists, along with security for perimeters. So for airports, for government buildings, really just let's say you have an emergency door that people are only supposed to exit, and then you have someone during an evacuation, someone is going in, you can get an alert and track them throughout the different system, throughout the cameras.
And you can really speed up an incident investigation with this tool, right?
Oh, very, very much so. You don't have to watch hours of video, as we call it. You can just find the object or multiple objects you're looking for with a few clicks, see where they went, see who they interacted with, see where what vehicles were part of it, and it's very easy with just a few different buttons is to find what you're looking for. So I call it the needle in the haystack. Since the haystack is pretty large these days, it makes it a lot easier and faster to get rid of all the things that you don't care about.
And we've got a great use case here that highlights that. And I think you've got some good details to share with us about this use case at Cumbria Constabulary, right?
Yeah, for sure. So this is a UK police force that has been Briefcam's customer for the past year and a half, and they're really strong users. Use it for many investigations that they have. And the full clip is actually you can find it on YouTube, but this is just a small portion out of it. They have Milestone as a VMS and Briefcam as their video analytics system, and they spend a lot of time, selecting the right system for them and for their needs. And I think it's really interesting to hear what they have to say.
Within the first 2 months of us going live with the system, we found that it's paid for itself in the time we've saved. We had a kidnap case. We had approximately 1,200 hours of footage. We put that through the Briefcam analytical system, which is provided to us by Bedrock, and within less than an hour, we had identified the vehicle and who was driving it. They were arrested and the victim was safeguarded. My advice to other forces that are looking for video analytics is do your research. Understand what you actually want and need from the system. We've been able to design a holistic system that makes the best use of the cameras, where they are, the analytical system, Briefcam, and then the operator that sits behind it. Other forces may want different things, so think long and hard about what you want at the start, but also have a system that can evolve and adapt to your needs over time, and the system we've got enables us to do that.
That's pretty fascinating. Anne, do you have anything more you want to add about that case?
I think anyone who has, investigations that involved hours of videos can really enjoy having video analytics in place. It's just such a time saver, and it really helps you to solve investigations. We have customers that really reduce their crime rate significantly because they're able to solve investigations much, much faster now, and really get a handle on crime this way. So there this is just a great solution for anyone that has investigation needs, right? So
And Seva, you've got a lot of examples here available for us that are not public safety oriented. They cross a lot of different vertical markets, right?
Yeah, sure. So all these different use cases, they still apply potentially to the same verticals. It's just a different, potentially kind of back of house, if you will. So the operational efficiency use cases, for example. So I know I've been to many security operations centers, and there's tons of people, tons of cameras, tons of screens, a lot going on, and there's not enough time or people or money to really do what you need to do to solve everyone's problem. So that's where the Briefcam platform with all the different modules can really come into play. So one person can do the work of many, with again just a few different buttons. It improves efficiency for the worker, for the employee, for really for everyone involved to not have to sit and wait and watch something manually, where you can have kind of a computer do the work for you. You can automate a lot of your processes as well. So you can have reports run automatically. You can have respond alerts running automatically. So when a certain threshold is met, you get an alert, and then you can do whatever you need based off your operational procedures. And the same thing with people management and traffic management at for stadiums, for airports, for really anywhere where there's a lot of potential people, being able to manage the footfall or the traffic or the crowd control is pretty vital, both for security, for safety, for employees, for everyone involved. So it makes it easy again just to use the platform and figure out where the traffic is, where they're going, what time it starts. You can kind of do some predictive analysis as well. So an event's happening on Thursday. It's this type of demographic of people for this type of concert, for example, and you'll know based off of previous history how many people will show up, how many officers you need, things like that. And then even on the compliance part, where I know, for example, airports compliance has many dollar signs attached to it. So being able to know when people are complying, or even more importantly, when they're not, and to be able to react accordingly in a short amount of time is very vital.
So there's a good bit of money that needs to be spent to get these systems up and running, but there's some return on the investment that we see as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Ann mentioned before, the percentages and how quickly our customers see ROI with analytics, where just faster to do everything with less people, with less resources as well. So you have the computers, the AI working for you instead of manually sitting there and paying someone, um, where they could spend their time elsewhere more efficiently.
Speaking of unique ways, the city of Hartford in Connecticut had some unique cases that they worked on as well, didn't they?
Yep. So they were used for finding high activity houses and selections in their city where there really shouldn't be tremendous traffic late at night at a certain house. So I think they were using it for house parties, also for dumping violations, where that itself is many dollars, both a problem and a fine. So they can find who dumped, when, where, with the license plate, and then they can go track them and issue them tickets or multiple tickets or summons, depending on how severe it was.
We have a video here of police sergeant that oversees the real time crime center. He's going to tell us a little bit about this case. It's not very long, so we'll just jump right into it.
I think when you think of police cameras, technology, we obviously focus in on criminal acts who experience high levels of gun violence, some of these other smaller level problems that are still large nuisances and that cost the city a lot of money that we can bring solutions to as well. Illegal nightclubs is really hard to address, especially when the people throwing the parties own the house. Illegal dumping, again, not your typical crime you associate using technology or real-time crime center with, but it is a big problem that we've been battling here in the city. So we moved a camera over here with 2 license plate readers on it. As you can see, we had a PTZ, a couple fixed LPR cameras, and then immediately the next day we captured our first illegal dumping. So what we use for this one is Briefcam to really compress down a whole overnight scenario and get a picture of what's going on at this house.
So, even beyond the public safety aspect of this particular case, we also see a lot of value that Briefcam can bring across departments of any type of organization. We have a bit more detail on that coming up in a few minutes, but first, we want to demonstrate what Briefcam can do for you and your organization. Seva, will you demo some of the highlights from Briefcam video analytics platform?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So on this slide, kind of it's showing the main technology behind Briefcam, how we became famous. So it's something called video synopsis, where on the left side you'll actually see the original video, which is about 30 minutes long, and it's something when you look at surveillance footage, there's not too much happening. There's a person walking by, a bicycle here and there, and it's a really long video. And let's say you wanted to just find one object, or you wanted to see everything all at once. You don't want to sit through 30 minutes. Where you'd use something called video synopsis, where it overlays all of the images that are moving on a static background. So instead of watching one by one, it actually layers all the objects on top of each other. And then when you do want to view just one original object or filter, then it'll show you the timeline and the timestamps of each individual object there. And then now I'll actually show you on a live system what it would look like. So this is the Briefcam platform. Everything here is in a thin client, so it's in a web browser. It can also be embedded in multiple different VMSs where it's very seamless. It's just another tab, single pane of glass. What I'm showing here, what the system dumps you to when you first log in, is the review module. So this is where you can review all past footage, combine cases, files, etc., into an investigation. So for example, let's go to this case called Austin, Texas office. So once I open this case, you'll see that on the left side, the quantity 51, these are all the different cameras that are part of this case. And each camera there has a little number, and that's the number of objects in each of those cameras. So this first one, for example, has 181 objects, the second one has 58, and so on. And in the middle are all the different objects across, in this case, 51 cameras. So there's a total of 16,000 plus objects in this case. So we can do one of two things. We can go right to a video synopsis. Let's, for example, click on play on this camera. And what the system is doing now, like you saw in the PowerPoint, it's building a synopsis of only the objects that move in the static scene. So this video itself is 7 hours long, and we're actually viewing it back with no filters in 17 and a half minutes. So without doing anything, just one click of a button, it's already a humongous savior of time. And we can view all these 17 minutes, but let's say we wanted to save some time and apply some filters. So that's where we can go on the right side, and these are all the global filters that are built into Briefcam. So for example, we can filter on class from here. So class is a type of object, so we can do people, so men versus women versus children, different types of vehicles. We can also do animals, but in this case, let's do a man. Hit apply, and now we can remove all the other objects that are not classified as the man class. And now within that, let's say we want to also apply something for a person attribute. So that's basically what someone is wearing or what they're carrying. So we can do long sleeve or short sleeve shirt, including color. And then same on the bottom. So if they have pants or shorts with color, we can also combine if they have a hat, a face mask, if they have a backpack, or handheld. So that just means they're holding something in their hand. It could be a coffee cup, could be a cell phone, could be any number of things. But in this case, let's filter just for people with hats. And now with a couple clicks, we actually filtered from 17 plus minutes down to just a minute and 14 seconds. So we can view the system, view this video, and see kind of where all these objects went. But let's say we also didn't even want to watch video. We can go over to the visual layers and see one click button to see where the objects travel. So this would be the activity heat map. So clearly there's a lot of people that move back and forth near this table. If we wanted to go to the second one, which is the dwell heat map, we can actually see where they spend the most time. So clearly this is a very busy table. A lot of people go to the front, and then a lot of people kind of hang out towards the bottom right of it. And then if we want to see the direction that the people are actually traveling, in this case, this is the common paths visual layer. So you can see that there's a lot of activity back and forth. And the last one, which is really interesting, is the background changes visual layer. So this will show you any part of the scene that was moved or interacted with or touched over the length of the video. So this can be used for theft, for object interaction, for retail, for a lot of different purposes when something was there and now it's not, or vice versa. So you can see there's a lot of activity on the table. There used to be a box there. There's different labels moved. So this can be used to see how people are interacting, different employees, different um, customers, etc., with your system. And now let's say we don't care about this camera, we care about all the cameras together. We can actually X out of this visual layer, and now we're only filtering on men with hats. But let's say we know that we have a VIP employee and we want to see where they travel. So let's just pick this person, for example, in the orange hat. And we don't actually see his face, so we can actually do face recognition. So how do we find him? We do something called appearance similarity. So we can add him as a filter, hit apply, and now it'll search on all the different cameras on anyone that looks similar to him. So a lot of different instances. There's a total of 81 different times that we captured him. And let's say he wasn't wearing a hat one day. We can reset the person attributes and the class. So now we're just searching on him visually. And now let's say we wanted, maybe he changed outfits, so the appearance similarity would not work. So now let's actually search on his face. So just with one instance, we can find all the different instances where we do see his face. Now we can add him as a face recognition filter. And now when we search on him this way, we can actually see the different days, different outfits throughout the different times. So sometimes he wears purple, sometimes he wears red, sometimes he wears blue. And again, let's say we didn't really know the layout. This is a timeline of the event. We can see it on a map view where he traveled throughout the scene. So we can see, if we zoom in, we can see there's 3 instances here. He was here 6 times. You can really build an idea, build a story of where he went, where an object went across the scene, assuming you have coordinates in your cameras. So also similar to how you can see where the objects traveled on review in a map, we can also do it in respond. So these are all the different alerts, but let's say we actually want to see in a city, in a safe city, et cetera, where the objects happen, where the alerts came from. You can click on the map view and see it in a map where the actual alerts came from. So we can have cameras all over the world, wherever you want, but yeah, when you zoom in, you can see all of the different cameras and where the alerts came from. So it makes it really easy to visualize when you're tracking an investigation or some incident that's happening in real time. You can see the path that the object or person of interest has been traveling. So instead of searching for people, we can also search for vehicles. So let's open up this case, Rockford, Illinois. And we can see this one has 4 different cameras, a lot of different objects. There was a lot of traffic that morning. So there's a total of almost 4,500 different objects. So let's search for, let's say we want a red vehicle. I like red today. And there's 364. How do we pick the specific vehicle with a specific plate? Here's where we can actually use the vehicle make and model. So we can search for a Fiat, for example. And now from the total number of objects, there's only 9 that actually match our red Fiat. And now let's say we know that this person drives too fast, so we actually want to pull up their plate and write them a ticket. So we can filter just for objects with license plates. And there we go. We can see the license plate that showed up 3 different times. So they were driving by back and forth. And now we can view the video of them, see the timestamp, see the exact camera, and we can actually also see it on a map as well. So we can see where they spend the time. So from here, let's say this person is either a VIP or someone that we want to kind of bookmark for later because ongoing investigation. We can select all these objects and then add them to a bookmark, add them to a report, and then we can share this case with someone else. Let's say we're going home for the day. So we can share this case and then we'll see all the different bookmarks that we created in this case right there. And let's say we didn't want to actually do this forensically because there's an ongoing investigation. We can do all of this in real time as well. So since review is in the past forensic, we can use the respond module, which is same filters, but it's all in real time. So let's say we wanted to set up a face recognition alert for our hero with the hat with a different outfit. We can set up an alert on whichever cameras we want. And as soon as this person shows up, we can get an alert. It'll show up in the GUI, and then it can also be sent wherever you want, depending on the integration level. But we can get really, really granular depending on, again, on what kind of rule you want. So we can do smart alert. We can pick any camera that we want. And now you have the full suite of filters kind of that you're familiar with from the review modules. So like I mentioned, one of the use cases for the visual layer for the background changes is you can see any part of the scene that was moved or interacted with. So in this case, instead of activity heat map, we can actually see the background changes for this snack closet, snack hallway, and see what got moved and when. So let's view the visual layer first. And we can see there was some bubbly was moved, some other chips on the right, and then it looks like a whole package on that second shelf on the right was moved. So who moved it when? Let's assume this is a really long video. In real world, this can be used for, it has been used for theft from one person taking something over a week-long period. Obviously, no one wants to sit there and watch, but let's see who moved that box. So from here, we can use our scene filters and actually apply just very quick area of interest to that part of the scene that was moved. And now we just click apply and play. And instead of viewing all the 71 objects, we can see the 11 objects that match our filter. So you see this person likes that drink up there. And at 12:41, it looks like someone, this person goes in, they take the snack box, take a look inside. They could just as easily, could be something very high value, could be theft, could be malice, but in this case, it's just someone that really likes snacks. And then one thing I'll touch on real quick. So the reason we can kind of do all of these filtering and alerting is because each object that we see, we track it, we identify it, and we associate metadata with it. So instead of just viewing the thumbnails, we can view the actual dashboards and data behind it. So you can view trends or anomalies for safe cities, for facilities, for really any number of things. That can be displayed in the review in the research module. So this is for potentially a different use case, but it's just built into the same platform. And we're actually going to have another webinar on this exact topic. But just know that really all of the different metadata that we have, you can show it in a number of different formats.
So you covered a lot of ground really quick there. And there's so much that we didn't get a chance to just showcase or highlight in this demo. There's a few things that you didn't get to show. You really didn't have a chance to address direction of travel, line crossing, license plate recognition, some of the features that are much more advanced. Are there a few of those things that we'll get to see at another time, maybe in another webinar?
Oh, you bet. The platform can be demoed in many, many hours and days, depending on the use case. But there's enough buttons and features to pretty much solve any use case that I've heard of so far.
Thanks for walking us through that. So there's a lot that's there. I love the video synopsis. It really took us in and showed us a great example of some of the power behind Briefcam. We're going to open up the Q&A session in just a moment. If you haven't had a chance to send in your questions, you can type those into the chat now. We'll field those questions and get some answers for you. We may not be able to answer all of the questions today, but we'll follow up with answers to your questions after the webinar. We're also recording this webinar so you can watch it later. We'll send the recording to you and to the people that couldn't join us live today. Before we get to the questions, let's take a quick look at how Briefcam can help your organization expand your safety and security systems beyond their current capabilities. And can you help us see how different operational departments can begin to use video analytics beyond security?
Yeah, that's correct. Of course, we hear for and foremost for safety and security and asset protection use cases. The Briefcam doing brilliantly for these use cases. But what we see working with customers that they are able to use Briefcam for much, much more because now they have access of what happens on the ground. They can see how many people came and went. Imagine yourself, I like to give this example of a website. If you ever sold anything online, you know that you have a lot of data at your hand. You see how many people visited your website, where did they go, what did they click, and then, of course, what did they buy. But if you have a business, a real life business, you don't have all this information. You don't have all this data. You might have your sales information, but that's about it. And now you have a chance to use your infrastructure, security infrastructure, and via video analytics, you now get information that is invaluable for the business. Imagine that now you can see how much people passed by your store, how many people went into your store, where did they go, where did they spend time, are they more men, are they more women, or do they have kids? All this information you didn't have before, and now you can get access to it. So this information is going to help businesses in all many with many ways. So other is with operations side to make sure you have the right personnel on the ground when they needed. Other with marketing, customer experience management, logistics, and of course your higher management who has their KPIs that they want to track, and now they are able to do it with video analytics. So we're not going to go into all these details in this webinar, and hopefully we'll do it sometime soon. But there's so much more to video analytics than just the security and safety aspects. It's definitely the core, but it's not the end of it.
We certainly have way more to talk about than we have time for today, don't we? Um, you see this chart here over on the left-hand side. You see what we in our industry like to call a legacy system that may be a video security system that is designed specifically for safety and security and may help with asset protection. But on the right-hand side, Seba, this is expanding into many different departments. What what do you have to add to what we've already heard from Anne on this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of dovetails back into finding different ways to make money and revenue. So, one of my coworkers likes calling it crossing the silos, where you don't just have security working with security. You actually have marketing come in, building planning, logistics, employee planning. So there's a lot of different data out there that's sitting in your cameras, not really being used, and Briefcam can come in and kind of unify all of it depending on where you are in the organization and help you out with kind of any and everything that you're looking for. So whatever keeps you up at night, we can most likely help you.
Thanks, Anne and Seba, for a great presentation. Now let's see what questions our attendees have in the chat. We're opening up the questions now. That wraps up the panel portion of our webinar. And at this point, we'd like to make sure we're taking questions from attendees. There's a little question button in the app or GoToWebinar. So please enter your questions there and we'll field those as we go. Let's take the first question. Anne, I think I'm going to send this one your way. Briefcam is expensive, but is it worth it? And how can we afford it?
Well, Briefcam is indeed an investment, but one that pays off pretty fast. If you can cut video review time by up to 20 times, then your teams can review now, months of videos very fast, and it's going to be very easy to show the ROI for it. On top of it, Briefcam can help the team in general work faster and crack more cases, avoid missed incidents. All that gets into a lot of money at the end. And what we see working very well for our customers is when security teams, as we discussed before, expand the Briefcam value across organizations. So the insight that you have about visitor trends, about road traffic numbers, these are gold. This is gold for other departments like marketing and operations and planning departments. And once they see the benefits, it's usually very easy to justify or even share the budget for Briefcam. So that could be a way about that.
Great. One of the questions that is coming in from one of our attendees, what is most valuable for customers? Is it security analytics, reducing the footage length, or is it having investigation workflows, or perhaps something else? Seba, you want to answer that one for us?
Sure. The answer is basically yes. You can use Briefcam again for all of it. It's whatever takes up the most time or money in your organization, or what you hope to use with your cameras. Because the cameras, the VMS, they're kind of a sunk cost, and that's where Briefcam comes in to actually use them more efficiently, use them for value, use them for time savings, for whatever you're looking for. So there's no real one answer, unfortunately, but it can help with any and everything.
Okay. And this one's for you. Will Briefcam be sold with Milestone systems, or is it separate?
So we in Milestone believe in open platform, and that's very, very important for us. So Briefcam is sold with more than 20 VMSs, including XProtect, but definitely not it's not the only one. We have great integrations with Genetec and with other VMSs out there, and that's definitely not an issue. Briefcam is, as I said, an open platform and can work with many VMSs.
Great. We have a lot of questions coming in. We'll get through as many of them as we can today. If not, then we will make sure we follow up with you with answers to your questions. The next one that comes to us is, why do I need Briefcam if I have Edge Analytics?
So I can take that. It really depends on the use case, right? So if you have very small sites, very few cameras, maybe Edge Analytics will be good for you. That's great. But if you have dozens or even hundreds of cameras with multiple generations of cameras, multiple vendors, multiple VMSs, then you need a centralized server-based solution like Briefcam. That makes going to make a lot of difference in how you work with your analytics, especially if you have investigations that you need files and cameras in order to solve. If you want to make sure that your team is not overflowing with alerts, and you do need insights across your site. So if you need all those things, a platform that address all of them really going to make a lot of difference for you. So you get the license plate recognition, the face recognition, the search, the alerts, the insights, all in one platform. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. So I see here, this was a slide that we actually didn't include in our presentation, but have available. This one kind of levels you up from various different types of video analytics up to a platform, which is what Briefcam is.
Correct. I mean, there are many solutions out there, and it really depends on your deployments, right? If you have an end-to-end system for one vendor, that you need to work with whatever analytics they can offer you. But if you want best of breed, then you need to find a solution. And you have point solutions for face recognition or for license-based recognition. And sometimes it would work for you. But if you want to have everything in one platform and not work with multiple vendors for analytics, then just go with a platform, and that will solve your needs.
And if you need help making that decision, we have people standing by that can help you with that. Just leave your information with us during the survey at the end of the webinar, and we'll make sure we reach out to you and help you walk through the right solution for your needs. Again, we're an open platform. We want to make sure that we help you solve your problems. That's the real goal at the end of the day. We have a question here that I think is pretty good, Seba. This one is probably for you. Can Briefcam analyze already stocked data, or is it used only for information recorded via Briefcam?
So Briefcam doesn't record the data. So we process video from VMSs or from exported footage, so non-proprietary video formats like MKV, things like that. We could also ingest third-party data for like a POS system, for example, and overlay that on top of the research data in the dashboards.
And how about computing power? That's a big one, I think, a big question for a lot of folks on the call today. Andy, you want to handle that one for us?
So yeah, Briefcam runs on servers that include GPUs. That's all this AI takes a lot of processing power, and you do need GPUs to run it on. Our team is going to help you to size the system according to your needs, the number of cameras, the type, the resolution, the how intense your scene is, right? Like how many objects we need to process, and we will help you to size the system, size the hardware accordingly. And you may buy the hardware from us or from a third party. That both works.
It can be expensive with the infrastructure that's required. Is it worth it? And how do you afford it?
Going back to the beginning, yes. I mean, it really depends on your needs. If you have investigations, if you want to have like specific alerts, if you want to make sure you have insights across your system and across your sites, then it's going to pay back. The ROI is going to be very quick. So under a year, I see people in the survey saying that's what we see.
Here's an interesting one. Seva, can Briefcam detect human emotion?
Not yet. We can detect objects, where they go, what they're wearing, but we don't do emotion detection.
Face recognition? Yes.
Yep, face recognition, if they're wearing a face mask, if they're wearing a hat. But yeah, we don't know if they're happy or sad. Just assume everyone's happy.
Yes, we hope they are. Will the solution work with offsite video feeds such as construction mobile camera devices, or is it really just any camera device? Seva?
Yeah, as long as the feed comes into Briefcam and we can process it, it doesn't really matter where it's located. We have customers that do drone processing footage. Again, it doesn't really matter where the video is coming from, as long as the Briefcam servers can access it.
What is Briefcam licensing like? And do you want to handle that one?
Yes, for sure. So it's pretty simple. It's perpetual license per camera, and there are options for on-demand cameras or real-time processing for cameras. The basic software product insights include both on-demand and real-time processing and all the three modules. So you get everything on the same platform. All the features that Seva showed us, everything is included. We don't separate it. You get everything. And of course, we have a team that can help you find a specific solution for your own needs, right? So they will be happy to help.
We had a question that came in before the webinar even occurred via some of our social media promotion. Somebody was asking, they say they run a security team and a transportation system. How can research dashboards help the team?
So I think like with any security challenge, the first step is first understand the problem, right? Before we jump into solutions, first let's understand what is the problem. And this is exactly where Briefcam research can help you do that because you can quantify your data and actually understand your problem. So let's just take an example, a problem that many transportation organizations are facing, fare avoidance, right? People are not paying when they're going into the public transportation. So before you run into solution, replacing the hardware in all the stations and putting more police officers to this job, the first step is really understand where is it happening and when, right? It's a different story if it happens on all your stations or whether there are a few stations that you have a problems there in specific hours of the day, right? Your solution will be different and they will be much smarter if you have the data in hand. More than that, once you intervene, you can track the data and you can show improvements over time. So imagine how you can be the hero of the organization who can tell upper management now, yes, we had a problem here and there, we solved it and reduced the fare avoidance by 40%. So just having the data and in your possession really can make a lot of difference for the security team in general.
We're all looking for a hero, right? This is a good question that has come in. How does We've heard a lot about generative AI and various different types of AI. Does Briefcam incorporate generative AI technology? Seva, that's probably for you.
Not yet. We're working on adding different types of technology in that aspect, but yeah, not yet.
We're definitely experimenting with it, though.
What
Is it-
type of AI is included?
So we have neural networks that we work on with to analyze, to identify objects, track them, classify them, etc. So that's AI that we definitely deploy in Briefcam, identifying all kinds of behaviors, like if, for example, interactions between objects, things like that. So we have deployed this type of AI.
Here's a question for me. I finally get one. Will we see a demo of Milestone and Briefcam working together? I don't think we've got time for that today, but perhaps in one of those future webinars that we'll be working on, we can definitely show how XProtect and Briefcam work together. They do have a tight integration. As we mentioned in the presentation, we work with any video management software, and we want to remain as an open platform, continuing to have a great working relationship with our competitors that need video analytics from Briefcam. But hopefully, sometime in the very near future, we'll be able to provide a demonstration of Milestone, XProtect, and Briefcam working together. Seva, can you handle that one?
Sure. Yeah, everything can be processed centrally. It all comes down to bandwidth and kind of what pipe you have from where the cameras are, where they're recording, where they're streaming back to the Briefcam server or servers. So if it's data intensive, if there's a lot of high resolution cameras and the pipe is small, then most likely we would do Briefcam Nexus, where there's a central server and then you have kind of the hubs out there, or the spokes out there processing the video locally and then just sending the metadata back centrally. But yeah, if you have a big enough pipe and the requirements for processing are on the lower end, then you can stream everything back centrally.
This is probably a related question. We have a question about accessing outside sources via Briefcam. The question says, for example, the Super Bowl was held here. From a real-time perspective, how does it access video for us to monitor the video footage? Seva, can you handle that one?
Yeah, so everything, we communicate with the VMS. So we talk to the management server, or whatever the equivalent is, using their API SDK. So Briefcam sits on the network. We talk to them over their communication method, if you will.
Right. So most of the video monitoring would probably occur in the VMS. The video analytics are what happen once the VMS has handled the video and captured it. It's sent over to the Briefcam for the video analytics to start processing. So from a real-time perspective, we're talking about probably real-time crime center or a security operations center that's monitoring the footage. You have that capability with your VMS. And then from there, Briefcam, primarily in the respond module, gives you that live capability to be able to use that footage to really touch base and capture alerts and notifications based on rules that are provided. I think I've got that explanation right. Does that sound right to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay. Does Briefcam capture and detect human gestures like falls, hands up, other types of human gestures?
Not yet. also working on that aspect into the platform.
Great. However, I know Milestone does work with some companies who can help with fallen patients and things like that. So we have a module that's available with ExperTech called Hospital Assist that helps with that for patient monitoring. And we're continuing to research and develop new capabilities all the time. Now that Briefcam and Milestone are working together, that collaboration and ability to be able to come up with great ideas and really deliver on them is only going to get better. Can the stream be taken directly from the cameras or only from an archive process? Seba, I think you addressed that to some degree. Maybe you have some way to elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's both. So it's the live stream from the cameras or recorded footage. So the nice thing is, let's say you buy Briefcam today, you can start processing 30 days or however much retention time you have already in your system right when you install Briefcam.
How about compliance issues? What if you can't use biomarkers? What do you do then?
Yeah, so you can disable permanently the kind of the face recognition aspects of Briefcam. You can also disable license plate recognition. So depending on whatever local laws you have to comply with, that should work fine from what I've seen.
And I would like to add that it's important to understand when we say face recognition, Briefcam does not recognize really anyone. We're not connected to any database or anything like that. What we do is actually matching between faces. Like every face, we analyze it, and it's going to be saved as a string of numbers, like a vector in our system. And we're just comparing these vectors. So there's no recognition. It's just the way we call this feature. But it's basically matching. But as Seba mentioned, if that doesn't work for you, then we have ways to remove these capabilities from the system in a way that will be compliant with your environment.
For drone footage, does the moving background affect object recognition and classification? Seba?
So it doesn't affect object recognition from what I've seen. Officially, all of our documents say that we need obviously a static background, but I've tested it in my own environment with moving video, and recognition of the object should work. LPR face recognition should work, but there will be some weird inconsistencies of the video. So Synopsis won't work, the visual layers won't work, so speed and direction. So things that are reliant on a static background won't work, but there will be parts that do work. But officially, all of our documentation says that the background of the camera should be static. I've just seen and heard of some customers doing otherwise.
Great. We've had some great questions here, and it's time to wrap up for the day. We've run out of time. Again, there's been so many questions. We haven't had a chance to answer them all. We're taking them in. We're going to evaluate the questions and come up with responses for you. We'll follow up very soon, probably within the next 24 hours. You'll be able to get the recording of this and watch this video on demand. As for questions, give us a few more days. We'll work on compiling all the questions and getting some good answers for you in writing. And we'll follow up with you by email and also make that available on our website. So thank you, Anne and Seba, both for being a part of the webinar today. We really appreciate the time that you've given us and the valuable insight that you provided. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you again next time on our Milestone Global Webinar Series.